What's the first video game you ever played? This and Duck Hunt. This post is to judge your age for the Reddit IPO metrics. I'm not sure if you're joking or not, but it seems like a lot of posts are just digging for data points and info on us, both as a group and individually. Maybe I'm just cynical, but there are a lot more posts like this than before. Next one is, what was your first concert and how old were you? Or, do you remember when Happy Meals came with toys? Or pick one, Andy Griffith Show, Wonder Years, or Malcolm in the Middle. Conservatives who are for the banning of contraceptives like IUDs and birth control and condoms. Why? I love how none of the responses are what OP is asking. Lol. Edit. I love how this is my top comment ever. Because no conservative, outside of their subreddit, is going to come out openly and say why they don't believe in Plan B and condoms. They ain't looking to literally get crucified. I have a conservative friend who doesn't like contraceptives because that's preventing God's will. Sex is for having kids, not for pleasure. My biggest problem with it is that they're trying to eat their cake and have it too. Do they care more about making babies or preventing abortions? Because choosing one means losing some of the other. Okay, I was raised conservative, no longer am religious, and can tell you why. I was taught that birth control is a form of abortion, the idea being based on Psalm 139:13-16. Any joining of sperm and egg means a soul is created and God knows them and has started knitting them together in their mother's womb. That is what they believe. That is why embryos are now children in one state, and probably soon more. More crazy things I was taught in youth group and in college at a relatively moderate liberal arts Christian university over 25 years ago. Many birth controls work by shedding the uterine lining, even if a sperm and egg have joined, killing a God-known and blessed child. Others work by not allowing the sperm egg God knows you spawn to properly implant in the uterine lining, therefore killing your child that God had begun to knit together. They believe any joining of sperm and egg is God working in his mysterious ways, and that child must be born and trained up properly. Spare the rod equals spoil the child. Teach a child the way, and he will never depart from it. They believe all this fervently. They have been maneuvering into positions of power and are making their move to take over. That's what I was taught as a child in church. Was pretty angry to find out after doing my own research that not only is Plan B not an abortifacient, but that birth control doesn't turn women's uteri into dead baby cemeteries, because the whole point of birth control is to prevent the sperm from being able to join the egg in the first place. Not a conservative, but my mother was. The reason given was that the Bible has God commanding humankind to be fruitful and multiply. God decides who can have children and how many. Obey God and you will go to heaven. What's something you own now that your 16-year-old self would be thrilled about? This laptop I'm rocking would be considerably more impressive in 1991. Clothes that my mom didn't pick. A mobile phone in the 1970s that was definitely in the realms of science fiction. Thinking back, I've pretty much achieved everything my teenage self wanted to achieve. I'm taller, no more acne, good beard, super hot goth girlfriend, high salary, home office job, great friends, a good PC. But the most important thing, I'm happy. When I was 17, I was so depressed. Things really do get better. Back then, I had no hopes life was worth living. And now I look around, and I'm so glad I've stayed alive to see this. I'm so excited to see what the future holds. What was that disgusting thing someone you were dating told you, and it changed your image of them? He relayed the story of how he had thrown a full milkshake out of a moving car at an old lady who was walking on the sidewalk and hit her full in the chest. He could barely get the story out. He was laughing so hard. I thought this was something he had maybe done when he was in middle school and trying to show off for his friends. That would have been bad enough. No, he did this when he was 21. What a plain fucking asshole. Fuck you, John. Similar vein, he laughed his way through a story about how several of his friends cornered and beat up a guy at a restaurant for heckling them from a table over, most likely telling them to calm or quiet down. The victim was apparently severely injured but didn't press charges. My date insisted that he didn't participate in the brawl. I didn't believe him, and was genuinely surprised by my horror. When I broke up with him, I told him it was because he lacked empathy. The story above was particularly bad, but there were others that told me not to trust him as a partner. He took it surprisingly well in the moment, but later started getting into incel rhetoric and was dumb enough to post it on his public-facing social media. He's now married, after having dated his now wife for only a little over a year. I worry for her. Some things are better left to the imagination after I undressed. My ex completely changed after we got married. When I asked him why he'd lied to me about who he was before, he literally said, "I didn't think you'd like me if you knew." Damn straight. I was like, "Don't you think I kind of deserve to decide that for myself? Now I just can't trust you at all." And he said, "But then you wouldn't have married me." Surprise, surprise, we got divorced. It wasn't a lie, really. It was just something I said so you'd like me. Once I realized that she didn't think lies counted if they were told to manipulate people, I was out. After knowing him for like 6 years, he randomly told me he was really depressed. I quit my old job and that I had lost a lot of use to him. The wording really threw me off. He was pretty good at masking, so I thought he just misstated it. Surely my use wasn't my career? Oh, no, it was. He said that a big part of his interest in me was my career, because he had hoped to have one like mine, and it's how we met. So me switching was a bit of a letdown. Eventually, he clarified that even though I was now making over 5x salary to what I made at my prior job and had completely transformed my life, and shared a lot of that money with him, daily, from good food to designer clothes he liked, the fact that I no longer worked in his industry made him sad every day, and he felt like I should have stayed in that industry to help his career by having contacts and advice, but he knew I was selfish and would take that the wrong way. He proudly admitted to having videos of all of his sexual conquests in the act on his phone. What was the weirdest thing you ever saw? This is a tough call. I've seen some strange things. I'm gonna have to go a classic. The time I was downtown on a hot day and saw a man eating what looked to be the remains of a hot meatball sub out of a full trash can, unabashedly. That's not the weird part. I had some food in my car, which was only a block away, so I said, "Hi there, would you like some sodas and bagels, cream cheese? I've got some that I'd be happy to share with you." The man looked up at me, disgusted, before angrily saying, "I don't put that trash in my body." I had to walk away. I didn't even know what to say or if I would laugh. I was just like, "Okay, have a nice day." I went to a place that is famous for its medieval history, and it has a huge fair every year where people dress up in medieval costumes. Walking home late one night, I saw something move in the corner of my eye. I stopped to look, and it was a monk vigorously pounding a nun. It took my drunken self a while to realize what I was witnessing, and that they were both in costume. Or so I hope. Me, my brother, and a friend were camping once when I was maybe 11 or 12, way out on our 100-acre farm in small-town Kentucky. I woke up around 1:30 or so in the morning and could faintly hear a piano being played that sounded like it was coming out of the woods about 100 yards for our campsite. There is not a house or building or anything anywhere near that spot on our farm. So, naturally, I think I'm just hearing things and decide to try to go back to sleep. Then my brother, who was apparently also awake, sits up and asks me if I hear a piano. We made a dash for the house and never camped out there again. I used to live in an area with a lot of land, and I saw a raccoon fighting a beaver. The raccoon won and started to eat the beaver. It was pretty creepy, to be honest. Probably rabies. A male prostitute turning a trick in my bushes. They claimed to be fighting. The one with the dick in the other's ass seemed to be winning. I just went inside. They seemed harmless, and I never saw them again. Definitely a platypus. Don't get me wrong, I get it. They're real. But I also totally get why 19th century European scientists thought it was a creative taxidermy hoax. My friend and I gained an extra 15 minutes or so going to class one night. I think I've told this on Reddit before, but anyway, it was March 26th, 1997. We remember the date because it turned out to be the day the Heaven's Gate cult committed mass suicide. My friend and I took a class together at a local community college, so she would come to my house at 6 p.m., hang around for a few minutes, and we'd head off to our 6:30 class. She gets to my house at 6. We watch The Simpsons until the first commercial break, as we always did, around 6:10. We leave the house, both of us remembering seeing the dashboard clock in her car showing the correct time. It was about a 15-minute drive to the school. We get to school around 6:25. I hang around for a minute with a friend who's having a smoke outside, then head in. We sit down in a fairly empty room. The clock in the classroom says 6:10, but we assume it's wrong. My friend's watch says it's nearly 6:30, as we'd expect it to be. We wait. Eventually, people start trickling in, and class starts 20 minutes later. We're wondering, what the hell is going on? My friend checks her watch a little while later in class, and it is now showing the same time as the classroom clock. Once class was over, the dashboard clock in her car is the same as her watch. We have no idea what happened, and neither have really heard a good explanation from others as to how we appeared to get out of sync with everyone else. Well, that's another episode of Ask Reddit in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.